Anu, it's a pleasure to be speaking with you today. I saw the film. I went in completely blind. I'm trying this thing where like I feel like trailers give away too much, and even press releases. No shade to the PR team. They talk too much, and I just wanted to go into this movie blind. And I felt like that's the best way to do it because I had no idea what was happening or what was going to happen, and I completely enjoyed it.
I'm so glad. I really appreciate that because I try to do that with films. And it's funny because my best friend is a trailer edits trailers, edits like incredible trailers. And so I love the art of trailer cutting, but I agree. It's sort of nice to go, this is just a piece of art. I'm going in, it will tell me what it is. Either I connect to it or I don't, but I appreciate that. And I do it all the time too. So thank you for I'm like curious. Okay, so what was the experience? Tell me more.
It was great, and I'm just genuinely curious. I'm like, it starts off with a cleaning lady who appears clairvoyant, claims she's clairvoyant, but then she's not. Or maybe she is, but she's just yanking everybody's tail to which the extent that she is. Talk to me about how you come up with an idea like this. Is this basically, did the idea come from somebody in your life that reminded you of this, or was it, the idea came to you one day, or is it a metaphor for something else? Talk to me.
Oh, I love that question. And so, I'm going to share. I'm really, as a director, one should be concise and direct. That's something I'm supposed to work on, but I am not. I am flowery with my language unfortunately. So, you know, the, there's a, it, I think this happens a lot of times when people make their first films. You sit on an idea, it incubates for a while, and it continues to change and grow and morph as you continue to try to get it made or as you keep going through different versions of the film and of yourself, right? So, like, I started writing this movie in my 20s, and I finished it in my 30s. And so, so it's taken on a lot. Like, it's snowballed and gotten a lot of other ideas as I've been making the film. But the kernel of the idea really came from kind of two things, which was I wanted to make a movie that explored this idea of assimilating and code switching, something that, from my specific point of view, I've experienced, I've seen my friends obviously experience, and it is something that, like, the idea of being an incredible chameleon, being able to read a room and put on the correct mask is a superpower and can be an incredible help to you when needed, but it's also you get that as a survival mechanism. And so then also, what does it take from you? And I've seen movies do this, but I wasn't trying to be pedantic or didactic with it. What's the right word for that? I was just trying to explore it. I was trying to create that feeling in the audience. And so that was like the kernel of the idea, but that alone is not a movie, right? And so I also am very interested by the social, racial, class dynamics of this sort of employer-employee relationship, specifically with when someone is cleaning another person's house, because that person is always a fly on the wall. And it's so, I'm not saying there's nothing inherently wrong. Like, being a domestic worker is a great job. It's just the idea, it always struck me as so interesting, when you hear people will be like, well, yeah, the person who cleans my house, they're like my family. But there is a dynamic there. There is this dynamic. And again, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it. I'm just noticing it. And so I think it's very interesting. And I wanted to explore this idea of a person who gets asked to enter these spaces. She's very much an outsider, but she doesn't feel like an outsider. And so she wants to be the main character. She wants to take control because she feels like it doesn't feel great to always feel like you're always on the outside and you're not that important and you're not being perceived. And so she just inherently tells this one lie and that spins out of control. But to what you were saying, like, is she lying? Like, she's pretty intuitive and she can see what's in front of her. So that's sort of, it's all that stuff is what I'm sort of exploring.
I'm so glad you touched on like the racial and classist divide. That's kind of like an undertone of the movie, and it's something that I was like, is this movie really trying to have that conversation? And then you get the scene that's one of my favorite scenes. This is a small scene, but the scene with the flags on the wall, and they're all the same thing, right? Like people are all the same people. We're all people, but they're in different directions, and they mean different things and they come from different places. And I'm like, Ho, what's going on here? Um, was that intentional? Or am I reading too much into it? Talk
No,
to me,
no,
please.
you
Let me,
should
am I
be. This is
crazy?
great. I mean, it's a short movie. It's got only so many shots in it. I get, you're supposed to. And so, yes, I mean, this is a movie about a race in America. Race in America is so different than race and ethnicity conversations in other pockets of the world. America is a very unique history with race and the racial divides. And so I was like, if we're gonna make a movie that is looking at social and class divides, race is a big part of that in America, especially, I mean, I'm from the Midwest. This is like what I've seen too. And so, yes, this is also a story. And I think that is on its very surface, it's that. And then ideally, there's more under that because, again, I'm not we all know, what I mean? Like, I'm more interested in the person, like, because I think Ray is more interested in like what she's experiencing. It's just her story. But yes, this is a black woman being invited into a white space by a brown man. And that is like very much a part of the film. And she feels like, okay, this person's maybe on my side. This like Indian man is maybe on my side. So, okay, I'll enter this thing. And he's not. He's chosen the other side. And, and maybe I'm speaking in like sides as like too divisive a language because I think it's all quite subconscious and like, especially in the Midwest, like I think all of the microaggressions are very subtextual. Like for example, in that scene with the American flags, Ray is talking to Ed, who is trying to. He doesn't feel any connect. Like he's not a bad guy at all. He's trying to connect with her, and the only way he kind of knows how to connect is to throw another ethnic group under the bus. Like that's kind of how he's like, well, we're not the same, but we both feel this about that. And so that's ideally all baked in this way. What I'm hoping is it just feels really real and not like I'm telling you to feel a certain way. Because like, who wants to watch a movie like that? That's boring. It's just boring. Like, I don't think you get anything. I think it's more interesting to be like, oh, I've heard this conversation before.
I don't want to cut you off, but I just want to say I think you do a
Oh,
really good job at like
thank
this
you.
is a movie that I feel like did something very rare where like the story and the character are giving off the same vibe. Where like you don't know if it's comedy, you don't know if it's a drama, but you don't know if Ray is serious or if she's being a clown or if she's being super sarcastic. And I just love that. And that ties into my next question, which is like you got to work with Kirby who I fell in love with her watching this movie called Queen Pins, which I
Yes,
tell everybody to go see because
yes,
it's such a fantastic movie.
yes.
How was it working with her? How was it coaching that performance out of her? Was it easy, or was she naturally that way? Is she a sweetheart? Talk to me.
Oh, she's the best. She's the best. She is. We were just reminiscing about the experience of making the film because that at this point that was 2 years ago. Oh my God, more than 2 years ago. And because the life of a film is long, it does the festivals, it does that. And we were just reminiscing, and I was like, we were both saying how the experience of making that movie together, because it was very much we were making this movie together, was I'm like gonna get emotional, I don't know why. Was the most spiritual experience I've ever had. Like there was such a beautiful exchange of ideas. By the end of it, it was almost like a wordless exchange, the way that we would communicate with each other. She's the best. Like she is so talented. She moved to Gary from a month prior and got a job as a cleaning woman. I mean, it was our friend Roberta has a round the clock cleaning. Shout out Roberta. She has this incredible business in Gary and she's a commercial cleaner. She does not do domestic work. But which is also it's a whole thing. She was explaining to me the differences. And so but Kirby started working for Roberta, and so then she cleaned for like a month. I mean, she loved cleaning so much that she'd be late to like rehearsals and fittings because she had gigs. At one point, she was like late to a fitting because she was like, "I'm sorry, like I had to go do this clean, and I have a job after this." And I was like, "Okay." And she stayed in my dad's house. She cleaned, and when she left my dad's house, she cleaned it. She said two things when she left it, which was so funny. She said, "There's a ghost that lives in your dad's house, but she's really nice." And I was like, fascinating. That actually makes, and I don't really want to I don't know if I want to commune with ghosts. It makes me really scared. And so, which is my own problem. And then she said, and then she cleaned it completely because she wanted my dad to have a really nice time when he moved back in. So that kind of became it. And as an actor, she has such a talent. And she would speak in her Gary, Northwest Indiana accent, and she made a ton of friends, and we would go to the local bars and hang out. And people didn't know she was British for like a long time.
So it sounds like she's a beyond a method actor. At that point, she's literally cleaning. She literally took on the role that she was playing. That's awesome.
Fully. It's funny because like I don't even think she would describe herself as method. I genuinely think she's very much an explorer. She's just kind of like she's very I think the way I would describe her, she's very egoless. She's like not thinking about the I ever. She's always just thinking about like the thing in front of her. She's incredibly present. And so working with her was a real joy because you have to just be present with her. And so yeah.
I just want to say I've known you way before this, and I'm not going to say from The Good Place or The Sandman. I am a Queen Pin stan.
Oh
Okay,
my
I tell
gosh.
everybody I know to go see that movie because it is an underrated gem. So
Oh,
yeah,
thank you so
yeah,
much.
yeah. No, I just wanted to throw that in there because I just think you need more love for that movie, and that movie needs more love. So, uh,
I love it.
oh yeah, no, of course. We are talking about a different film though. We Strangers today.
Yeah.
It is a great movie. One I spoke to the director Anu last week about. When we spoke about it, I kind of got a little bit more of a profound appreciation for it. But after I spoke to her, I started writing my review, and I found myself loving it even more
Yeah.
because it's one of those films that you sit on, and you really do start to like break down the different layers of it. Was it something that you kind of understood immediately when you read it? Talk to me about how you got involved with the project.
So Anu and I have the same manager, and I was aware of some of her work. So he'd sent me over a short film that she did called Lucia Before and After, which is really incredible if you can still find it. I think it won something at Sundance, but it's a really incredible film, and it also stars Sarah Goldberg, and they've worked together before. And you know, our manager, Peter Kusakis, has very good taste, and we're sort of like, I think you guys, it's sort of been shipping us. And he had this script, he had this project, and he brought it to me, and I read it, and I just fell in love with it immediately. I think Anu's writing is just really fresh, uh really it comes from a place of she has a very unique way of presenting quite big ideas, but in a way that is without being sort of dogmatic. And she doesn't tell you what to think and what to feel, and this is what you have to subscribe to, because this is, it's very much, you can take what you want from it. um and I felt like I think that's a very, very difficult thing to do as a writer, because you're putting so much of yourself into something. So then we chatted, and then we ended up speaking for hours. Like, it was meant to just be like, a general where you maybe talk for 20 minutes or 30 minutes. And I think we ended up speaking for 2 or 3 hours about the character, about Ray's life and who she was. And by the end of the call, Anu was like, I feel like you've written this thing with me, which is very generous of her, because I did not. It's all her. But yeah, that's sort of how it came about. And then since then, I think I was sort of just fused to the project.
Infused is a very interesting word to use because in my conversation with Anu, she said some things to me that kind of blew me away. That you do you consider yourself to be a method actor? Because some of the things that I heard you did for this role sound very method actory. Do you want to talk to me about your process? I heard you were an actual cleaning lady for a bit.
I was a cleaning lady. I don't consider myself to be a method actor, but that's probably because I don't readily label myself as anything. I think that if you are playing certain characters, something like a cleaner, there is an art to everything, including jobs, right? There's an art to something. If you're going to play a character that is a carpenter or a this or that, there are very simple ways that there are very simple tells as to whether you have just come in on that day and decided to pretend to be that character, or if you really have lived in that world. And I think that whatever character you're playing, you're representing a real person. You're sort of, your art is a mirror to real life. And so to me, I wouldn't feel comfortable just coming on set and playing a role and be like, hey, I'm a cleaner and just winging it. It felt to me like there is an art to it. There really is. And I worked with a wonderful, wonderful woman. And she has a cleaning company called ATS Cleaning in Gary, Indiana. And Roberta was incredible. And I cleaned at the Lego store in Chicago. I cleaned a funeral home, a tax office. Like I literally worked with her for about 2 weeks. And it was like a little crew of us. And I think that it informed the character so much. I mean, to me, it's almost like doing homework. Like I had so much less. Is that how you say it? I had way less work to do when I got to set because of just knowing things were just sort of easy, like the way you clean, top to bottom so that everything falls down, and then you clean up, and the way we would take things out, or even the things that were in the caddy, which meant that when I was, saying my lines, which is really a small part of acting, saying the lines, I didn't have to worry about anything else, whether I was doing this thing properly or the rest of it was just sort of in my bones.
Was there any specific thing that you did that you were cleaning that even, some of the production was like, hey, what are you doing? Like, how do you know to do that?
Well, actually, in the scene where in the scene where we're with the Patels, that scene in one of the like the early scene where um Sarah Goldberg's character is rushing around and she's making the smoothie and doing all that sort of stuff, and there's a conversation that was blocked completely differently in the beginning. We had a completely different blocking in that room, and then I went into that room, and my character was very prominent in the blocking. She was very much almost like the fourth member of the family, and I had a conversation with Anu, and I just said, it's not realistic. Like most of the time, most cleaners, if they're cleaning and a family is home, they really are trying to stay out of the way, because one, you can't clean properly if people are in your space. And two, it's a job where you are often sort of in the background and trying to be as invisible often as possible. And that completely changed the blocking of the room, but of the scene, but it gave the scene so much more power, because though I was so focused on cleaning, you understand that this person is listening to everything. And part of that is because you're not staring at them and looking at them where they know you're sort of like in their business and in their conversation. If you're just off in a corner doing your own thing, it's very easy for people to forget that you're there.
Wow, that's awesome. That's really
Yeah.
cool. Um, to change blocking of a scene. And imagine, yeah, you know more than I do about how intricate productions can be. So that's really cool that your experience kind of informed that decision. You said the film was made in a, I think, quote, dogmatic way where you can take anything away from it. What do you take away from the movie? What do you think it's about? If you had to give me like a one sentence answer.
Well, I said that a nude does not create things it's
Oh,
not dogmatic.
sorry. Yes, the opposite. Yeah.
Oh, what if one sentence what tell me the one sentence, the what is it? If one sentence to summarize the
To,
film, what was it?
what do you think it's about?
What it's about? I think this film is a dark, funny, interesting exploration of assimilation and what you gain, but what you lose.
That's great. That's vague enough for people who may, go
Yeah.
into this blind like I did.
It's a film that you kind of have to go into vague. I mean, I've seen it a lot of times now, and because obviously I'm only part of one small part of it, it gets edited and it gets a whole new life. And I've seen it and I see different things all the time. And I think it is a film that you kind of have to go into with very little expectation and very little idea of what it is and just experience it.
And that's exactly how I've been promoting this film. And we'll continue to promote this film up until it comes out in a few weeks on VOD. But Kirby, I think I only have time for one more quick question if you have time for a quick answer. Out of pure, genuine curiosity, there have been rumors on the internet for the last few months that you have potentially been approached by Marvel Studios about being a specific character in an upcoming project, potentially X-Men, potentially Storm. Are you aware of the rumors? Can you confirm? Is there anything you can say at all?
I would say send me that article. I'd love to read it. How intriguing.
Fair answer, Kirby. I thank you so much for entertaining me today. You are, as I said before, a wondrous actress. Great in this film. Cannot wait to see what you do next, whether it is Marvel or something greater. And I wish you the best of luck with this. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Dempsey, thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. We not strangers anymore, right?
No, 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 we're not strangers. We're queen pins now.
Exactly. We're queen pins. I love that.